This is Booked for Drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part 2. Today we're diving into Revenge Diary of a True Billionaire Heiress. Let's go. Chapter 1. I watched my parents and older brother, Carter, freaking out like chickens with their heads cut off. They were about to tear apart the party venue, hunting for their precious Delilah, who'd suddenly vanished. For once, I didn't beg them to stay for my sake. Instead, I just smiled as they rushed off. The guests exchanged awkward glances before wisely taking the hint and clearing out. Soon, it was just me, awkward, skinny me in a pink dress that didn't fit right, standing alone in the massive ballroom. I must have looked like some kind of freakish clown. But I didn't give a damn. I walked straight over to the dessert table, sliced a huge chunk of buttercream cake and put it onto a plate. Last time around, Delilah had been drunk as a skunk, speeding the wrong way on the Palisade Parkway. She slammed head-on into a semi-truck, dead before they even got her to the After that, Dad, Mom, and Carter blamed me. Said I deliberately stalled, that I'd caused Delilah's death. Dad started treating me like I was invisible. Wouldn't even look at me. Then, on Delilah's anniversary, he glared at me, eyes bloodshot, and said, "We never should have brought you back." Carter was even worse. He constantly sneered at me, accusing me of being a gold digger, only after the family fortune. When I tried to defend myself, he'd shove a paper in my face, a document renouncing my inheritance, and demand I sign it. Stupidly, I thought that someday they would accept me. Then my foster mom showed up, after disappearing for years. Mom didn't kick her to the curb. Instead, she handed her a fat check, thanked her for giving her and Delilah 18 years together. She knew damn well that before I came back to the family, my foster parents beat me, starved me. And there she was, thanking the woman who made my life a living hell, just because it gave her a perfect little Delilah. I leapt off the penthouse, just to escape the situation. Thank God, I got another chance. This time, I will never ever waste my tears on people that don't deserve it. 2 hours after my birthday fiasco, they came back. Delilah, of course, was with them. She acted like a scared kitten, clinging to Mom. Sobbing, she gasped, "Mom, I thought I'd never see you again." Mom hugged her tighter, like she was afraid Delilah would vanish again. Carter frowned, looking all heartbroken. And even Dad's eyes were red. Delilah sniffled, but more tears kept coming. She whispered, "I didn't mean to ruin Genesis's birthday. I was just scared you wouldn't want me anymore, now that you have her." Carter, who always took Delilah's side, spun around, glaring at me like I was the scum of the earth. Mom and Dad looked mortified. I knew what they were thinking. They regretted bringing me back. Otherwise, their precious daughter wouldn't be in so much pain. I rolled my eyes at the whole damn melodrama and went upstairs. I figured they'd come crawling to me tomorrow, with their demands. Sure enough, they dragged me out of bed before sunrise. I sat there, quiet as usual. Dad, trying to be diplomatic, started with the bullshit. Chapter 2. Genesis, I know you were upset at your birthday party. Next year, we'll throw you an even bigger one to make up for it. He glanced at me, then continued, but for the past 6 months, Delilah has been really stressed out since you came back. Carter saved her life, she almost smashed into a semi. So, your mother and I talked all night, and we decided it's best if you move out. Just until Delilah feels better. Then you can. He quickly added, "Of course, I know this isn't fair to you. So, you can live anywhere you want. I'll buy you a huge house and give you a massive allowance." What do you say, Genesis? Does that sound good? They both stared at me, desperate for me to agree. They were scared I'd blow everything up. But why would I argue? I wanted to get away from them as far as possible. Without hesitation, I told them I wanted to study in Norway. They couldn't hide their relief. It was like they were getting rid of a freaking curse. They didn't even ask why Norway, of all places. Dad wasted no time getting my paperwork done. Within 2 weeks, I was on a plane to Oslo. Thanks to my previous life, I breezed through the preparatory course and started studying econometrics at the University of Oslo. After I left, Mom and Dad only contacted me every few months to ask if I needed more money. But Delilah messaged me all the time. "Genesis, look, it's my first day of college, the whole fam is here to help me move in. Genesis, we're at the airport. Mom says we're going to celebrate my birthday in a castle in the Loire Valley. Genesis, I can't believe I won first place at the International Chopin Piano Competition. Everyone's losing their minds." And, of course, she always included a picture of the 4 of them, all smiles. It was like she was flaunting her life, reminding me that she was the only daughter. Delilah always pulled this crap. When I first came back to the family, she would constantly tell me how amazing Mom, Dad, and Carter were, what they bought her, where they took her. All the things I never had. At first, I tried to ignore it, but eventually, I snapped and told her to shut up. Carter saw it. He instantly glared at me, then put his arm around Delilah. Like I was hurting her. When Mom and Dad found out, they had a talk with me. Then they chewed me out, told me not to bring my trashy behavior into their home. That day, I cried for hours. It was the first time I realized I could never be one of them. Time flew by, and soon it was the second half of my sophomore year. I was busy studying for finals when my only friend, Fern, suddenly started gossiping on WeChat. She's the daughter of the housekeeper, Lucy. She's the only one who was really nice to me when I was back home. Fern said that Mom had blown up at Delilah. Shouted so loud that Delilah almost had a nervous breakdown. I was shocked. Mom and Dad treated that girl like a goddamn princess. They never even raised their voices at her. Fern told me that Delilah was out shopping with her friends when some talent scout from a movie studio approached her. They thought she had it and wanted to sign her as a mega influencer. Delilah was hooked. She loved the idea of being famous, of living the high life. So, she signed a 10-year contract without telling anyone. At first, she thought she could juggle school with her career. That way, she wouldn't miss anything. But her college was strict as hell. They didn't allow her to skip classes every other day. So, she dropped out. Once that happened, she couldn't hide it from her parents. Mom tried to reason with her, told her to finish college no matter what. But Delilah, who always did what she was told, was dead set on becoming an actress. Chapter 3. Then Dad and Carter tried to talk her out of it. Still nothing. That's when Mom lost her shit. I almost burst out laughing when Fern told me this. In their eyes, Delilah was a brilliant pianist, a freaking prodigy. At the very least, she'd become a world-renowned musician. Instead, she chose the one thing they hated most. Now, their business partners would have something to gossip about. And those two cared about their image more than anything. Their precious gem was throwing her life away. How could they ever love her the same? Just like they never loved the ugly, awkward me with only a high school education. Delilah's path to stardom wasn't smooth. At first, she used her rich girl with a dream persona to build hype. But there were too many of those in Hollywood. The internet didn't care. They pumped tons of money into her marketing, and it went nowhere. She didn't want to start with small roles. Instead, she went on a bunch of no-name reality shows. After 6 months, she was still a nobody. But then she found her secret weapon. On one of the shows, Delilah connected with a newbie actor who's also hot as hell. They started faking a relationship, buying likes, buying followers and trending topics. It was a genius plan to get more and more exposure. I even noticed the hashtags when I was on TikTok. It was clear that the public loves them. She finally got what she wanted, fans and fame. But every rose has its thorn. Delilah was engaged to a boy since she was a child. His name is Sean, and he's supposed to be in charge of the Smith Company one day. Everyone thinks that my adoptive family is so lucky. However, Sean's grandma had a different thought in mind. Delilah is having a love affair with someone, so she is really pissed off and is currently in the hospital. The first thing that she did when she woke up is to make Sean end the engagement between him and Delilah. Fern said that nobody in the house is in a good mood because of this. Delilah is scared to go home because of this problem. Lucy told her to move out and find a new place to live. I understand why Mom and Dad are furious. Smith and my adoptive family have a partnership in business. If this issue continues, it will be hard for both sides to work together. I transferred Fern a lot of money and told her to find a better place to live. She and Lucy are frugal. I'm worried that they won't use the money. It's really important that girls should feel safe wherever they go. The screen shows that Fern is still typing, but she's not sending any messages. I know that she's ashamed to accept this. Then, I told her that I'm planning to go back to my family when the semester ends and that I need help finding a place to stay. It's the perfect time to go back home and visit them. When I got to the mansion, Dad and Mom were sipping tea in the living room. Their eyes widened when they saw me. Chapter 4. Their eyes widened when they saw me. 3 years had passed, and I wasn't the awkward, scrawny kid they'd shipped off anymore. I was poised, confident, with a face that had finally grown into itself. I was like the perfect blend of Mom and Dad. Hell, I looked more like them than Carter ever did. Maybe they were finally realizing the weirdness of blood ties. Without any fanfare, they did a complete 180 on me. Mom grabbed my hand, asking in a gentle voice if I was doing okay, if school was too hard. Dad sat there, beaming at me like I was a prized possession, and kept offering me slices of fruit. After dinner, Mom said she'd get my old room ready. I gently stopped her. Mom, I already found a place. No need to get my room ready. I'm afraid that Delilah is going to. I lowered my head, pretending to look sad. Mom and Dad exchanged a worried glance. But they didn't push it. They just told the driver to take me to my new place. For the next few days, I went back for dinner every so often. I went shopping with Mom, and had tea with Dad. Even Carter started treating me better, calling me sis instead of Genesis. Time to head back to Norway. On the way to the airport, Delilah showed up. I guess my return freaked her out. Dad looked uncomfortable, and Mom's face turned sour. That whole broken engagement thing with the Smiths had really messed things up. Delilah didn't say anything. She just started crying. It was her favorite move. Whenever Mom and Dad were nice to me, she'd cry or pull a disappearing act. But her tears were getting old. Plus, her antics this year had really embarrassed them. She cried for a long time, but no one comforted her. Mom even frowned. Feeling the mood turn awkward, I decided to bail. After all, some fights are easier to win when one party is absent. So, I put on a fake smile and tried to smooth things over. Mom and Dad, I don't have much luggage. I can take a cab to the airport. I jumped into the car and told the driver to get moving. Sure enough, before I even got to the airport, I got a message from Delilah. She wrote, "Don't get too cocky, Genesis." Then Mom sent me a voice message. "Drive safe. We'll come visit you in Norway soon." But her voice was hoarse, like she'd been yelling. I was right all along. At first, I thought Mom was just saying that. But when I got back to Norway, Mom, Dad, and Carter came to see me. They stayed for 2 weeks. I took them to Tromsø to see the northern lights, hiking in Lofoten, and eating seafood in Bergen. We acted like a normal, happy family. No one mentioned Delilah. Only Carter, when we were out shopping, complained about her. He said she was acting crazy, demanding that Dad give her $10 million to finance a fantasy show. Chapter 5. But the family was trying to branch out from real estate into hotels and restaurants, and they needed the money. When Dad refused, Delilah started camping out at his office, either crying or throwing a fit. That's why they came to Norway. No wonder. I smirked to myself. They were running away from their own damn problems. Carter noticed I was quiet and reached over to tweak my cheek. My little sister is so awesome. She's super frugal. Dad wanted to buy you a mansion here, but you turned it down and insisted on living in a dorm. Frugal? I glared at him. Maybe it was my imagination, but something about Carter was weird. He'd always been a spoiled brat. Why was he suddenly so obsessed with money? Last time, he forced me to give up my inheritance because he hated me. But he loved Delilah. Why was he being so stingy with her too? As they were leaving, I posted a picture of us under the northern lights, smiling like idiots. I added, "Look, Delilah, we're the real family." Delilah replied instantly, "You bitch. You'll pay for this." She was losing her mind. That's good. When people lose control, they make mistakes. I didn't hear from Delilah again until my senior year. I'd just finished my thesis and was ready to sleep for a week when Delilah sent me an invitation. Her fantasy show had been a huge hit, making her a star. It was award season, and Delilah had sent me an invite to Starlight Gala, which is a major deal for rising stars. Every 3 years, they pick a Starlight goddess as the highlight of the show. Everyone who's ever won that title has gone on to have a killer career. It's a major honor. Sending me this invite meant that she was aiming for it. I had to go and watch her moment of glory. Before I left, I called someone and told him to get started. I'd barely landed when Fern sent me a string of voice messages. Delilah had dragged me through the mud on social media. On Twitter, #Genesis the backstabbing bitch was trending. Right below it were #Delilah delete it and #Delilah apologized. At 3 a.m., Delilah had tweeted, "I don't know what happened to her, but why are you being like this with my family?" She also attached 2 pictures. One was of me when I first arrived, 18 years old, wearing dirty, old clothes with a hole in my shoe. I looked awkward and out of place, staring at the fancy house like some hick who'd never seen a toilet. The other picture was a screenshot of my message to her, the one with me and my adoptive family, with the words, "We're the real family now." She deleted the tweet less than 5 minutes later. Then she tweeted an apology. I was emo and wasn't thinking straight. "Genesis and I get along, and I hope you don't think badly of her because of my tweet." It wasn't great, but it worked. The comments were all on her side. My entire past was dug up and posted online. Genesis is such a bitch. Delilah's too good for her. Chapter 6. I can't believe the family took her in, paid for her to study in Norway, and she repays them like this. Genesis has always been ugly. Did she get plastic surgery? She looks so different, probably photoshopped. Doctors aren't miracle workers, guys. Normally, mom and dad would freak out about this kind of public mess. But the public was on Delilah's side. It was free publicity for the family's restaurants and hotels. It was a win-win for them. So, dad spent a ton of money promoting and had mom do a combined PR effort for damage control. They got me to promise not to argue with Delilah online. Otherwise, people might realize I was the real daughter and the public would turn on them. I promised I wouldn't. I said I was sorry for hurting Delilah's feelings. Satisfied, they calmed down. Only Lucy patted me on the shoulder. "Lucy knows you're a good kid. Don't listen to the online trolls. Fuck them. I'll make you some good food. Eat your fill and relax." I nodded, but I still teared up. At the Starlight Gala, Delilah wore an amazing gown by Ellie Saab. Mom took out a vintage emerald brooch and pinned it on Delilah's dress. "This was your grandmother's. Now it's yours. I hope you reach your goals in life." Teary-eyed, Delilah hugged Mom and gave me a triumphant look. It was like she was mocking me for being a loser. She had the family's love, once again. The show was long and boring. I couldn't play on my phone. So, I checked Twitter. The Starlight Gala dominated the headlines. There was even a preemptive hashtag Delilah Starlight Goddess. The only other thing was a news story about bones being found in a condemned building. Finally, it was time to announce the Starlight Goddess. Delilah closed her eyes, holding Dad and Mom's hands. When the host announced her name, everyone cheered. She smiled, picked up her dress, and walked to the stage. She put on the tiara to win the title. Then she grabbed the microphone. "Thank you to the judges and the audience. I wouldn't be here without the support of my family." The camera panned to Dad, who nodded. Mom waved, and Carter winked. Another round of applause. Delilah continued. "I also want to thank my sister, Genesis. I wouldn't be where I am without her." She smiled at me. "Yeah, without me, the fake daughter wouldn't be anything." This was Delilah's moment. Fame, fortune, family, everything. If time stopped here, she'd have the perfect life. Too bad life had other plans. Instead of a highlight reel, the screen suddenly showed something else. A guy in his 40s and Delilah were getting hot and heavy in bed. She tapped his chest with her finger. "You promised me the Starlight Goddess Award, baby, you can't back out now." The guy grabbed her hand and kissed it. "Honey, don't worry, everything is yours." Chapter 7. The audience was silent. Only the sound of cameras filled the air. The video was short. By the time the technicians rushed to fix it, the screen was blank. Delilah trembled. The tiara fell from her head with a clatter. Mom and Dad looked shocked. Carter looked away from the cameras. I was enjoying every second. "Delilah, it gets worse." The organizers stopped the broadcast. They tried to escort Delilah backstage. But then, the cops showed up. The lead cop walked up to Delilah. "Ms. Smith, we believe you're connected to a murder. Please come with us." His voice was loud and clear. Everyone heard him. What the hell? Isn't Delilah super rich? How's she involved in murder? This is the craziest awards show I've ever been to. I wonder what her parents are thinking. If I were them, I'd find a hole and hide. Gossip spread through the room. Dad's face was dark. He and Mom got up and left. Carter followed. Delilah was on the verge of a breakdown. She cried. I don't know what's happening. Please help me. Don't leave me here alone. But no one listened. They hurried away. The investigation went smoothly. The bones were my foster dad, Hank. Delilah had known she wasn't the real deal. To shut him up, she gave him money. Until Mom and Dad found out and brought me home. Delilah thought she was done with Hank. But he started demanding more, saying he'd tell everyone everything. Delilah didn't have that much money. So, she lured him to the old building and pushed him off. Then she buried him. That day was my birthday dinner. Hank had no one to miss him. No one reported him missing. Plus, the building was abandoned. So, it stayed a secret. I knew something was up and checked Delilah's dashcam footage. I understood why she'd almost died on my birthday. She was so freaked out. Dad was furious when he heard. Mom hissed. We should have left her where she was. We would have been fine. But then they realized that Delilah's arrest wasn't just embarrassing. The social media mob turned on them. The bad press caused a chain reaction for their business. Mom and Dad released a statement saying I was the real daughter and Delilah was an imposter. But it backfired. Delilah's the real snake. Genesis has been through hell. The family just used her for publicity. The family is trash. Genesis deserves better. I'll never go to their restaurants or hotels again. Chapter 8. Their sales plummeted and their stock started. Even worse, Carter had stolen money to pay off his gambling debts. He was a gambling addict who spent most of his time in Vegas. He owed way too much money. Dad had a heart attack. Carter took the money and ran. Mom called me crying. I had just handed in my application for grad school. Time to go home. Dad was in a crappy hospital room, gray-haired and unconscious. Mom looked old and tired. Her jewelry was gone. She looked me in the eye and tried to hug me but I stepped back. Then she said, Genesis? Seeing me unresponsive, she sobbed, do you hate us now? You didn't used to be like this. Before? I laughed. Yeah, I used to be a dog for them. But that girl was gone. I put a card in her hand. Mom, every penny you spent on me is on this card. We're even now. I paused. If you need money in the future, sue me. I'll give you the alimony the judge tells me to. Mom's eyes widened. She thought she could play the victim and have me take care of her. She didn't expect this. She stammered. Genesis, are you saying this because we didn't treat you well enough? She glared at me. It's all Delilah's fault. She ruined everything. We love you. She tried to give me the card. I pulled away, smiling. You're so fake. You guys knew what Delilah was up to. Just admit that you loved her more because you couldn't handle an ugly and poor daughter. If you had everything now, would you say the same thing? Stop lying to yourself. You don't love Carter, Delilah, or me. You only love yourselves. That's why your kids are the same. Mom was speechless. She couldn't argue. I left. A black Maybach blocked me. It was Sean Smith, my partner in crime. I'd helped him get out of marrying Delilah. In exchange, he bought the condemned building, so the police would have somewhere to dig up Hank. Sean leaned on the car and waved. All done? I gave him a thumbs up. Lunch to celebrate? I shook my head, flying to Norway this afternoon. I'll take you to the airport. He opened the door for me. We talked a bit on the way. As I was boarding, Sean said, Genesis, if you don't mind, can I visit you in Norway? I hear the northern lights are beautiful. His eyes held hope. I didn't answer. I booped his nose, then ran to the gate, smiling. We'll see. The plane rose, passing through the clouds. From now on, my future is bright. There would be people who loved me, and people I loved. The girl who had been desperate for her parents' love had finally broken free and flown away. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.